Okay, finally, on my third try today. I didn't add a complete description because I added it twice and I didn't want to type it a third time, but it kept saying something about turning on my encoder, and I don't know that I have an encoder. But anyway, I'm going to be doing a reading again from going back to almost the beginning of the book, Waiting for the Morning, and going back to November of 1994. And it's that chapter 2 starts out with, "It's me," a poem. "It's me, Mama. It's me. I'm your youngest daughter. Can't you see that? Don't you know who it is that loves you so? You ask the others. They tell you, too, that I'm your baby. I'm your Sue. Why have you forgotten me? I'm right beside you. Can't you see? Mama, please look into my eyes. Please tell me you love me and that you're glad I've come." And my middle name is Sue. That's the and Brenda S. That's the S stands for Sue, and that's what they call me at home. When I went to school, first grade, I was called by my first name, which is Brenda, and it stuck. But home and at church, yes. And say, "Hey, Tiger. Tiger is here. Tiger loves to go live on YouTube, don't you, Tiger?" Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Okay, so then let's proceed with reading from Wednesday, November 2nd, 1994. And here there's a picture of my mother sitting in her chair in the living room. And in my next edition, if I ever get a second edition done, it's going to be color pictures, not just black and white. Anyway, Wednesday, November 2nd, 1994. I try not to be upset when my mother doesn't eat, but it makes me feel like I'm not taking good care of her. There are times when she will, but the times when she won't are getting more frequent. Yesterday I fixed a big pot of soup. She saw me doing it, even asked if she could help. Then when it came time to eat, she refused. It wasn't that she didn't like that kind of soup. I made it for her several weeks ago, and she seemed to love it then. So at times like these, I get out the insurer, and I'm thankful for that. But there was that nice warm pot of soup that I thought was so good on a cold night, and she didn't want any of it. By trying to get her to eat, and her refusal gets us both in a bad mood, which starts other things happening. We made it through the night already, surprisingly, but then strange things started happening this morning. She ended up talking about my ex husband and me, except that she doesn't know it's me here with her. And that to her, the person she was talking about is still in Florida. When I tried to tell her who I am and that I was the one he was married to that got her all mixed up, she thought I was the one who took him away from me. This is so confusing and so painful, and I hope this is not one thought she will remember, because it would only add to her anger towards me on the nights when she is so confused. At least the baby hasn't been in her confused 19 conversations lately, so this too will be forgotten. And it makes me kind of sad because my ex-husband and my first husband, he ended up being my third. He came back for a year, 18 years later, and and only stayed a year. He had a disability though that caused him to be depressed and uh and restless. And anyway, he passed away like I guess it's going on 4 years ago. It's like all of my siblings passed away in the last 9 years, and then after my last brother, who was 8 years ago older than me, passed away, then in the next couple months, my first third husband also passed away. And we had stayed friends all through the years, even when I was married for 8 years to someone else, and even when he was married briefly, only briefly for a few months. So he told me before he left, when I was trying to understand, he said, I can't stay with anyone. He said, I stayed with you longer than anyone else. Anyway, he even came to see my mother, and when I sat down beside him, my mother got confused then and thought he brought her with him, the other woman, which there wasn't really a woman that took him away from me, nor was there a man that took me away from him. There was nothing like that going on with either of us at the time. So it was just he left me when I was in Florida. I think he thought he was being a bad influence on me because I was depressed. I was depressed because of a job I was in Florida. And I guess he thought he had something to do with it. Anyway, I didn't mean to get on all that. Okay, let me keep on reading here. Saturday, November 5th, 1994. I'm seeing a cycle more clearly now, and I'm more able to predict when certain things will happen, though the dates are not exact. And sometimes things will happen when I least expect them. But there is a phase when she is incontinent, followed by a time when she's up all night, followed by a time of no appetite, and then the dreaded phase when she is most likely to have catastrophic reactions. The last phase consists of at least two severe outbursts from 1 to 3 days apart, and most likely they will happen in the middle of the night. She had been through the other three, and that last phase is coming up soon, so I watch and wait. At night when she's up, I read a book about Alzheimer's in search of some help and comfort, and I hope she doesn't remember during her confused time her thought of me the other day that I am the girl who took my ex-husband away from me. Monday, November 7th, 1994. Every time I think I've got things figured out, my mother, or should I say Alzheimer's, proves me wrong. She's been eating well. She's had another period of incontinence. And then last night there were a couple catastrophic reactions, but they didn't seem quite as bad as usual. First one was around 11 p.m. She thought she was going to have a baby and wanted me to get someone to help her. She couldn't seem to understand when I told her she wasn't going to have a baby now and that there was nothing to worry about. I offered to help her go to the bathroom if she needed to, but she wouldn't. She sat on the side of her bed like she was waiting for someone. I lay back down in my bed and watched her as she sat there. Finally, she asked if anyone was coming to help her have her baby. I told her maybe this was the wrong thing to do, but sometimes going along with her doesn't work either. And that she wasn't going to have a baby, that she was 79 years old, and that she couldn't have a baby. I helped her go to the bathroom, and then she went back to bed and slept until 4 a.m. Then at 4 a.m., she was out of the bed and trying to get her dress on. I tried to help her, but after getting one sleeve in, she fought and pushed me away, saying she didn't need any help and she didn't like anyone to help her get dressed. She ended up in the living room with just one arm in the sleeve of her dress, her gown on over it, one shoe on, and trying to put her wrap, which we throw over her legs, on as if it were pants. I tried to help, explaining that it was just a little blanket to help her legs keep warm and that she couldn't wear white pants. After her struggling for 15 minutes, I again offered for help, and she'd given up. I got her gown off, her dress on right, put the wrap over her legs, explaining again that this was what it was for. Finally making her understand its purpose, I think. And so I began another day, more tired than I was the night before. Tuesday, November 8th, 1994. After a bad start yesterday, something special happened in the afternoon, or at least it seemed that way for a few minutes. I spent most of the afternoon sitting by my mother as we talked. She was clearer than she'd been in a long time. It started off with her hugging me and crying and saying she had just realized who I am. For much of the afternoon, it sounded like she really did. Then she started talking about relatives I hardly knew, as if they were part of the family I had not seen in a long time. Knew very that and little about nieces, nephews, cousins, or cousins from my dad's family. She moved on to talking about my ex-husband and then about me as if I was not here again. I knew she could not accept who I am. She even mentioned our talk of last week when she thought I was the one who took my ex-husband away from me, and she said, when that girl was here, it was all I could do to stand it, listening to her talk. I tried to tell her again that it was me and that I was only trying to explain who I was. It was just like it confused her so much that she just quit talking again. It's so confusing and scary when she gets all mixed up like that. And when she remembers something like our conversation last week. Again, I learned trying to explain something to someone with Alzheimer's does no good. It only makes everything worse by confusing them more. But at least there are those times when there's a glimpse of the person she used to be, even sometimes a brief moment when she seems to recognize me. Sunday, November 13th, 1994. We were off to a bad start this morning. My mother says she had an upset stomach caused by something she ate. She kept talking about that at breakfast and wouldn't eat much of it because she said it was the same thing that made her sick yesterday. Telling her it was the same thing, of course, did no good, but rather agitated her. Surprisingly, the rest of the day went fine. My mother ate well, and it was a good Sunday at my sister's house. Monday, November 14th, 1994. We were up at 2:45 a.m. this morning. My mother no longer seems to understand me when I tell her that it's still not, that the house is cold, that we would be warmer in bed. The house is freezing. I guess I'm going to have to start leaving the gas heaters on all night because I never know when my mother would get up. I'm glad I got her a good warm robe the other day and that I was successful in getting it on her last night. Now I just need one myself. I finally got warm and could no longer stay awake, fell asleep on the couch about 4:30 a.m. Within 10 minutes, my mother was awake. My mother was asleep again by the time I got breakfast ready. I warmed it up for about 45 minutes later when she woke up. She wouldn't eat it. She took one bite and told me it tasted awful. All I've got all I've got now down her now was a little Ensure and a banana, and she frowned when she was having those, like I was making her eat and drink something terrible tasting. She's in her no appetite stage again. Maybe I'll read one more page here. Wednesday, November 16th, 1994. It's so different this month. Not at all as predictable as I thought. There have been no major catastrophic reactions and seemingly no attacks of indigestion until today. My mother is becoming more like a baby who can't tell me what's wrong. When I see her looking like she's in terrible pain or distress, I ask, and often she tells me nothing hurts. Then she tells me she's having a hard time getting her breath, and I know it's probably indigestion. There's no way of predicting anything because everything seems to happen differently each time. I never know what she will want to eat today, which movie she will want to see, if any, before bedtime, whether she will stay in bed tonight, and when the next catastrophic reaction will be and what will bring it on. I'm afraid that sometimes I bring them on. I worry about her not eating. and I try to get her to eat more, and she refuses and gets upset. Often it is either that or the medicine, which she hates taking and sometimes has a hard time of swallowing. The book I'm reading now says that unconditional love works with Alzheimer's. When you really love your mother exactly as she is, she can reemerge and be who she was for a while. And that was from the Alzheimer's Source Book for Caregivers by Frina Gray Davison. And aside from that, I wrote to, I read several of Frina Gray Davison's books, and I even wrote to her while I was taking care of my mother. And then afterwards, when I got on the internet and did my website, then she also had a website, and so we communicated then. And then after websites kind of disappeared, um, I found her on Facebook, and we talked several times on Facebook, and so that was so awesome. And but then I was searching for her, and the last few months, and well, it was before no, it was before October because we do a display in the library. Well, every June and every October, which is like a month before my walk-in Alzheimer's. And I found out that she had passed away probably a year or so earlier. So one little corner of one of the display tables I did in memory of her and had her books, all her books that we have in the library around her. Okay, let me get back to reading here. Um, I've seen it happen sometimes when we watch movies together, sipping hot chocolate or tea, and we will walk around looking at the flowers together. We do have some good times. I just wish they lasted longer before the bad times came again. Saturday, November 19th, 1994. It is 1 a.m. We've been up since midnight. Most nights, my mother thinks it's time to get up at least a couple hours before it really is. Every time she gets up to use the bathroom, she asks, "What time is it? Or is it time to get up? Or is anybody up yet?" Sometimes after I say no, she says, "I thought I heard someone up in there." I used to try to tell her that there's no one here but us, but then I found out it works better just to say, "No, no one's up yet." Uh, but some nights, like tonight, she's telling her it's not time to get up, just doesn't work. She's up and out of the bedroom almost before I can say anything. It's like she can't hear or can't understand anything I say. Usually she's looking for something or someone, or she's going to wait up for someone. Sometimes she has a headache, a neck ache, an earache. Sometimes there's no explanation. She just wants up and out of that bed and into her chair, her other bed. Yes, that's what she calls it sometimes. She often says she's going to bed when she wants to sit in her chair or that she's going to lie down in it. It's a big old rocker, not even a recliner. Tonight she was hunting something. I couldn't figure out what. After she finally sat down in her chair, she said she would stay there until I could fix a bottle for her. It took me a few minutes, but I finally found out she had a headache and wanted something for it. I was surprised that tonight excuse me, has turned out to be a night being up all night. My mother was up much later than usual. My sister and brother-in-law were here with her, and I was late getting back from shopping. 7 p.m. I have a hard time getting my mother to stay up till 7 p.m. Usually she wants to go to bed by 6 p.m. or 6:30. So I've seen tonight that keeping her up later doesn't necessarily mean she will sleep longer. It is 2 a.m. now. A few minutes ago, my mother was awake and was wandering through the house, saying something about those men. She seems to be expecting someone and worrying because they weren't here. On nights like this, telling her it's the middle of the night and that no one's coming does no good. Her dreams, hallucinations, and delusions are so real to her. She slept again in her chair and then she woke and walked through the house a couple more times and now it's 3:30 a.m. and she's asleep again. The last time she woke, she was awake. She mentioned waiting for U.S. Her deceased husband, my father. I couldn't tell her that he was dead. Again, she woke and wondered, and now at 4:30 a.m. she is asleep again. It's strange. When she's in bed, she usually gets up every hour, sometimes more often, to go to the bathroom. This night, she's only gone to the bathroom once since midnight. I've read all night as I have sat up with my mother. I just finished the Alzheimer's Source Book for Caregivers by Brenda Gray Davidson. It's the best one I've read other than the 36-hour day. I got the impression from this book that the increased sleeping in the daytime may be one of the symptoms of the more advanced stages of Alzheimer's that my mother is getting into. It sounds like things like not being able to eat or walk or being incontinent aren't necessarily going to happen. Another thing the book points out is that nursing home care doesn't necessarily have to be even in the final stages. Many Alzheimer's patients die in the first few weeks of the nursing home. They just never recover from the shock of that kind of change. And if they don't die, many never recover from a loss of function they experienced at that time. Whoa, boy, is that so true? From what you will see in the end of the book when I get there reading. I just saw a temporary loss of function in my mother not long after I came home. Just that much change seemed to make her more confused at night. She didn't begin getting up and staying up all night or her nighttime wandering until I came home. Though she is better in ways now, the getting up at night is only increasing. She must be protected as much as possible from drastic changes that might upset her. I still wonder and worry. Did my divorce almost 2 years ago bring on her stroke and a rapid advance in the Alzheimer's that we had not realized she had? Her stroke was just 2 days after my divorce was finalized. And yes, that's all the things that I feel guilty about. That's another one of them. Um, she had we had talked on the phone just before the divorce, and she had wanted me to take back my maiden name, make sure I did, and for whatever reason, I don't know why, because she loved the man, So anyway, whatever. Uh, okay. Anyway, that's all I'm going to do today. We'll do more next week, and I know I'm a day late. I didn't make it yesterday because I got a new microwave. Last year, well, my old built-in microwave that came with this house has been dead a few years, and I've been using this little bitty microwave, which is what you pop popcorn. So, and it's been on its way out. So I finally got and from Lowe's, well, not from Lowe's, somebody Lowe's hired, came and installed it. Last year, okay, this is not, I like Home Depot too. My new stove from last year is from them. But their delivery, the guys that they hired were young guys, and they didn't know. So they said the microwave wouldn't fit. So they took it back. And then, anyway, I got it from Lowe's. I went to Lowe's this time, and there was an experienced guy that came and put it in. He said they took one look because it was an old microwave. He said they probably took one look at it and didn't even know how to get it taken down from there. And anyway, so I will try to be back next Friday, or if I can't make it on Friday, Saturday. And okay, see, I'm still wearing my snowman. We still didn't get snow, but we got kind of a mixture of rain and freezing rain. I saw there's an icicle growing out back because it stopped for a little while, and a friend and I went out, and the roads were sort of okay, but uh, it was supposed to start back at 2. That's almost an hour ago with sleet and freezing rain. So anyway, I know it's probably raining wherever you are watching from. I mean, not raining, but snowing or freezing or something. So stay warm and stay safe, and I'll see you next week. Bye.